Do you see this shit? This is the kind of Karen-ass shit that I have to deal with every day.
Today at the courthouse in Lynn, Massachusetts, protesters gathered to support Ernst Jean-Jacques, a local activist otherwise known as Shimmy. Shimmy is wrongfully accused of assaulting an elderly Trumper who tried to dump a cup of water on Shimmy for the crime of dancing. To make things worse, she admitted to it on camera, and he is the one on trial.
And I was getting mad, and I did get water on it. I don't want to lie.
Are you serious? Are you serious right now? I'm being arrested?
December 2020, Shimmy was out counter-protesting white supremacists in Swampscott. Woman comes up to him, getting all mad that he's dancing. She takes a water bottle, throws it at him, and as a result, like any normal human being would do, he takes the water bottle out of her hand. Doesn't hit, doesn't get aggressive, but that's all it takes for her is to play victim and say, oh, he hit me, and have other people around him, claim that.
So the police didn't do their job. They didn't see it. They just heard voice to voice. That's not how it works.
I met Shimmy because the Randolph police run over my son. So I'm just one example, if you read here, of what Shimmy's fighting for.
Shimmy was unjustly arrested.
It's outrageous that this is going to trial. Another black man set up by this criminal injustice system.
DA Jonathan Blodgett refuses to drop the charges. He's continuing to protect the white nationalist. He's a racist. He's probably a white nationalist domestic terrorist too. I want to know where he was January 6th.
We've been doing this for months now. 4 months. Shimmy is innocent, and we know this. And the only way the system will know is if we're all here. If we go away, they sweep it under the rug. They get away with it.
So today, they did what we thought they were going to do. They're dragging this shit out. But luckily for me, I now have a trial date. It's November 30th. I'm not pleading to anything because I didn't do anything except get assaulted on December the 12th.
We want justice for Shimmy.
Free Shimmy.
Free Shimmy.
Free Shimmy.
Welcome, Young Jerks, Mike Crawford. The to be continued. That was a video from Rod Weber a few months ago about our guest tonight. We have an attorney and the person that was arrested wrongfully in Swampscott, Massachusetts, that a lot of us have rallied for the last 11 months. And this week, charges were dismissed. Really happy about this. We have Ernst. I'm going to bring Ernst up first. I'm going to try to say the name. Ernst Jean-Jacques.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty good. Yeah,
not bad.
Not
and
bad.
we have your attorney also here, attorney Murat Erkan.
Erkan. And you forgot the GOAT. GOAT, greatest of all time. You forgot that.
I tried Erkan earlier, but that wasn't it. He said it was Erkan.
It's only going to get worse.
We're trying over here. I'm trying. This is a running joke on my show because I really try on the names, and I've had speech impediments my whole life, and now I host a show. So you can do anything. You can screw up anything.
I like it.
So we have, like I said, two huge guests. We did a couple stories on you. One was written by me, and another one by a Swampscott resident, and it got a lot of views, media attention. I know that you've gotten a lot of media attention, but there's a lot of frustration for the last 11 months, and now it's like a big victory for you guys. How are you feeling tonight?
Can I be honest?
Yes.
Relieved now that I don't have whatever it was hanging over my head. I don't know what kind of punishment they were going to end up going for, but I did look it up, and there was jail time that could have potentially came with what I was charged with. And obviously how I've always been, I always expect the worst case scenario. So this whole 11 months, I figured there was going to be a bad outcome or whatever, even though I knew for a fact that I didn't do anything, but I just had to be patient. Like everyone was telling me, and what I thought was going to happen happened, and they dropped the charges. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I've been unemployed for 11 months and relied solely on community support to get by. So with that being said, I don't feel like there's been any justice, because I had to go through all that, and now I'm suffering from it financially. So I guess depending on how you look at it, it's positives and negatives. But overall, I'm grateful of the man that I'm sharing the screen with right now, the greatest of all time, Mr. Murat.
I'm sure you have a lot to say too, Attorney Murat.
Yes, and please feel free to call me Murat. Over the last 11 months, I've watched Shimmy go through this ordeal, and he did it with just about as much grace as one could expect a young black male to have when falsely accused of a crime in a racially charged complaint. At this point, I am quite relieved for Shimmy, the outcome that we were able to obtain for him. He certainly wouldn't have been the first innocent black man to be convicted of a crime that he didn't commit, and that possibility loomed large. I think in Shimmy's mind, and confessedly in my own mind. It's something that we always knew was a possibility. We did our best to prepare for all possible outcomes. From the beginning, I told Shimmy it was going to be a hard fight, and it would be a grueling process, and the outcome would be uncertain. But we always knew that Shimmy was innocent, and I certainly wanted to do everything in my power to make sure that there was no room for error in my defense of him. So that informed the way that I crafted my defense, and luckily in the end, all the pieces that I put on the chessboard went the way that I'd hoped they'd go, and the case was ultimately dismissed. And quite frankly, in the day that happened on November 30th, it was truly the best of all possible outcomes, because not only was the case against Shimmy dismissed, but the wrongdoer herself was charged with the crime of assaulting him. Finally, there was a moment where Shimmy was purely a victim and Linda Greenberg was purely a criminal. Although, of course, the prosecutor did her best to change that narrative, apparently, after we left the courthouse by dismissing the charges against Ms. Greenberg, which brings us to the next stage of this fight. This fight that will continue, though.
Let's talk about that, because I'm assuming that most of our listeners and audience know all the background on this because it was so highly publicized, and I know you have a lot of supporters, and I know they know all about it. We have a full green room right now of people waiting to talk to you folks. They want to come on and say hi. Got a lot of comments, a lot of listeners already. We will get to them all, but one of the things, for people that don't know, is that Shimmy was actually assaulted. Linda Greenberg, 80-year-old woman, threw water at him, and you could see it was premeditated. To me, I watched the video. She went and grabbed the bottle. She went away to grab the bottle and then went back to Shimmy to throw the water at him. So it was premeditated. It was a lot of water. It could have been anything. It could have been a chemical. It could have been, cyanide. With just who knows, and with these people, because they're crazy Trumpers. They're Diana Plus people. People should know that they're extremists. They are violent. Even an 80-year-old woman, obviously throwing water at someone, something wrong there. And the Swampscott.
You can't forget COVID. Though.
Yeah, COVID too. COVID too. And they do threaten you with COVID. I mean, Diana Plus basically chased me away on mask when I went to videotape her. That's another story. But, so all of this is happening, and the Swampscott police decide to arrest Shimmy, who went to reach and grab for the bottle. That's all he did. He didn't assault her. They said the Trumpers claim he assaulted her. Video doesn't show that. They didn't charge her for 11 months. They charged Shimmy. At the end, she was charged, and the district attorney dismissed the charges, not after 11 months, after less than a couple hours. But you're asking for more now. You're asking for the district attorney to appoint an independent prosecutor on this. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. And just to touch upon a couple of the points that you just made. this woman, Miss Greenberg, in some ways, some might view her conduct as demonstrating, her mindset that she was immune from prosecution, perhaps because of her age, or because of her skin color, or because of whatever else justified her belief that she could assault Shimmy. He wasn't the only victim of assault. Had this case proceeded to trial, you would have seen, and it's on the live stream video that Ploss put up, that within a 20-minute span, Mike, of the assault on Shimmy, she assaulted, or she engaged in 3 other separate assaults. She first shoved with pretty substantial force Hannah Connolly while screaming at her just for sort of like being next to her with her Black Lives Matter sign. There was an individual who was walking past the metal barricades with a bullhorn that she tried to whack with her flag once, and then succeeded in whacking with her flag, a second time. So this is sort of a clearly an individual who felt that she could assault people with impunity, and that's what she in fact did. And that impunity lasted for 11 months. It was a brief burst of justice in which she was going to be called to trial for her own wrongdoing, but the prosecutor took it upon herself to render that an impossibility. At least she hoped to. Then the concept now arises regarding the appointment of an independent prosecutor. Now, just to be clear, what the relief that I'm requesting in the form of appointing somebody independent here is not sort of unprecedented or an anomalous procedure. It's something that prosecutors routinely do in instances where there's at least the appearance or potential for a conflict of interest. I myself was a prosecutor for almost 10 years in Essex County, that same exact office. And routinely in instances where there were cases involving what we call cross complaints, in other words, 2 parties who are alleged to have committed a crime against the other, the one prosecutor would not handle that proceeding. 2 prosecutors would handle the proceeding that would be separated and evaluate and handle the case independently. Sometimes that would be done, within the office itself if there were no other sort of like extenuating circumstances. But particularly in a case where there was some level of a political component, or concerns about some level of wrongdoing, then under those circumstances, a prudent prosecutor would maintain an immaculate handling of the case by making sure that an out-of-county prosecutor or out-of-jurisdiction prosecutor handled the matter. This was routinely done. It happened all the time, and quite frankly, it is highly unusual that it didn't happen in this case, particularly given sort of the undertones here and I think really the public sentiment that there was some racial animus behind the prosecution of this particular case.
I know it's funny you mentioned racial. At CourtWatch MA on Twitter documents a lot of different court, jurisdictions throughout the state, and they sent me some information about Essex County and Jonathan Blodgett and his prosecutions or persecutions of people of color, working class people, and black men. That this goes on all the time, and it just in this case it was very publicized. People knew about it. Most people, you don't hear about it, how they treat people every day. Do you want to comment on any of those? It's probably difficult for you because you have to go against them case after case, I'm guessing, our attorney. But do you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody that wants to take some sort of a principled stance has to be prepared to walk onto that podium himself alone, and bear the force of the person he's placing in the role of adversary, the person he's calling out and opposing. I'll not speak to John Blodgett himself. I'm hopeful that he would disapprove of what happened in this case, and that was the reason that I sent the letter to him in good faith, with the expectation that once he sort of became aware of the potential wrongdoing that's occurred here, that he would act strongly in opposition to it. It's really an interesting concept, though, Mike, because I think that we've developed as a society sufficiently to the point where we recognize that race plays a consistent and unfortunate role in our justice system on a daily level. I mean, if you look at, the data sets are available, and they're fairly incontrovertible in terms of the outcomes for minorities, Black, brown individuals in courts versus non-minority persons. It's clear that there's disparity in charging. It's clear there's disparity in sentencing. It's clear there's a disparity in access to justice. But for an attorney to talk about that in court is something that is, in some ways, professionally dangerous, because the response is just an incredible amount of opprobrium and discomfort. Nobody wants to talk about it. There are racist individuals that are functioning within the court system for the government, whether they be prosecutors, whether they be judges, or other court staff or personnel. But if you ask anybody within the system to identify who that racist person is, if you ask any judge, any prosecutor, look at the data. We can see that there's a race problem here. Which prosecutor in your office is responsible for that in your view? Nobody will ever point at anybody else.
No one's going to raise their hand.
Yeah, nobody's going to raise their hand, and when we talk about it, there's such an incredible amount of discomfort, and that's why I'm here now, and that's why I've made it so much a focus of the manner in which I've handled Shimmy's case, was because I view this matter as an opportunity to sort of ask the stakeholders here to engage in some introspection and recognize the scars that are long lasting in the system, and take our part to take responsibility for them and address them in some way. And that is the mission that Shimmy and I are on. It's the mission that we undertook on the first day of this proceeding. And his mission we're not going to suspend until we've accomplished our goals in some way. There will be accountability here.
Shimmy, do you want to add anything on that?
Nope. I defer to everything Murat said. Again, this whole time, I figured that I kind of knew what they were trying to do. I knew that they didn't really have a case. I knew they didn't have a case. And I knew, or I had a thought that they were just trying to drown me out, take away my resources, my employment, ruin and damage my reputation and my name, in hopes that I would just sit down in a corner, take whatever punishment they were going to give, and then just not live my life anymore and not continue to do the work that I was doing before. And I was there to let them know, and I'm still letting them know that they got the wrong one. And unfortunately for them, they arrested somebody who I am lucky to have some resources, and I am lucky to have a great lawyer who looked out for me and a community to look out for me. But this is so much bigger than me now. What about the people who don't have a lawyer and don't have the resources and are in a way more difficult situation than me? So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not fine with the charges being dropped and then just, all right, let me go back about my life. That's unacceptable. I'm not the same person I was before I got arrested, so I can't go back to that life. So in order to move forward, I've got to stick the course with Murat, and we've got to continue to fight this. So that's that.
Yeah.
You brought up community, because we have quite a few people in the green room. We got a lot of comments, a lot of listeners right now.
Yeah.
You brought this community together, it looks like, from everything I could see, and some of them we're going to bring on right now. How do you feel about the community you created around your cause, Shimmy, and what's next for the community?
I don't even want to. I can't take ownership or credit for creating a community. if anything, we found each other, I guess, through speaking about like-minded thoughts and situations that pissed us all off, and through seeing the same people over and over, or being spoken about by these people, that created the community that you see in the green room right now waiting, and all the people that protested for 50 weeks, Mike. 50 weeks, at least 2 times a week. So I'm forever grateful for the community that I found, and I can't say that I created it. And as far as what's next, I would hope that everybody continues to do the work that they were doing prior to meeting me, do the work that they were doing when they were supporting me, and because clearly there's a lot more work to be done, and I'm definitely not the only individual that's going through this, so we got to just keep going. But I'm thankful for everybody that helped me get out of my situation and who's going to continue to ride with me moving forward.
Go ahead.
Thing here is to, use this as an opportunity. Every time that we see injustice, every time we see the flaws in the system, that is the time where we need to stand into the wind and be willing to raise our voices and talk about it. And that's what Shimmy's done, and people are rallying around that, and he is uniquely in a position because of the strength of his convictions and belief and courage to cause people to bring further focus to this important issue.
Awesome. We have some comments. I'm going to post a couple of the comments here. Here's one. Someone, Facebook user writes, he was the third, or actually, I think the Facebook user that posted meant but she was the third person that was assaulted that day. Oh, that she assaulted that day. That was just in one day. Imagine how many people she assaulted at these rallies. I saw some of the, I don't know if it was that day or a different day, but I saw some, flag poking that she did too. Here's another one. What are the odds, Murat, that you'll get a response to your letter? Please don't hold your breath.
What a great question. I mean, it's the type of thing that, I certainly, with history as our teacher, shouldn't hold my breath about unless I want to asphyxiate. But no matter how many times we're forced to beat our head against the wall to try to get this message out. I mean, I think that, we just wear a helmet and keep doing it, So that's what I intend to do. However, I think particularly given the strength of the community base that this individual has, that Shimmy has, I think the strong media scrutiny that's occurred here, I'm hopeful that some level of a response will be generated. Obviously, the first step is for news sources to publish the letter that I crafted, and we've sent it to various outlets. We've had discussions, and I'm hoping that does hit the paper soon. I'm going to get it out there. I'm going to get it out there to as many people as will listen. And even if the only manner in which I can do it is through Shimmy and his networks, and through, well, certainly having this opportunity now is a great opportunity to get this message across. We're going to keep doing it until the message is heard.
We get some more comments too. Someone's asking it. I think they're asking about me. I don't know. Maybe they're asking about Michael Picard. I don't know. Is Michael sick? We'll find out. Maybe Michael knows. He's in the green room right now, but we got a few people in the green room. Do you want to take some questions or comments from them? Sure. No, we do that. We got Heidi. Yeah, we got Heidi, because you said 50 weeks. I think she was probably there like 50 weeks. Heidi, how do I say your last name, Heidi?
Just like Highland.
Highland, easy. Yep. Heidi Highland.
Yep.
AKA the creator of all things Free Shimmy, and in Swampscott once a week, and in Lynn once a week. At one point, she went to Salem with the message. Honestly, I can wholeheartedly, comfortably say, for the most part, if it wasn't for Heidi, I don't know if my message would have gotten as far as it did because Heidi reached a lot of people that I don't have access to, and vice versa. Just like you, Mike, you can reach and access people that I can't. So I'm very grateful to Heidi for doing everything that she did the last 11 months.
Oh, no problem. You deserve it. You're a stand-up guy. You do everything for the community, and it sucks you had to go through this because you're definitely an awesome person, and you don't deserve this.
And how many weeks were you there, Heidi?
50.
Yeah.
So you were there every week for Shimmy in Swampscott.
Yep.
At least once a week.
Yeah, we were doing Swampscott and Lynn, so yeah, 2 times a week.
I owe Heidi a lot of gas money. Straight
That's
up.
awesome. You guys must be really close now, tight, right?
Well, I have to be. I'm now part of Heidi's extended family.
Yeah.
Murat doesn't know it, but like during the holidays, he better expect me over, like, because these are people that I'm gonna be forever grateful for. Like you know, you don't even understand like how difficult this shit was. So to have a lawyer come in and like, yo, I got you, and be open and honest and transparent with me, not tell me what I want to hear, but listen, like this shit is gonna be tough, but we're gonna do it. And then Heidi be like, listen, I don't care if it's raining, I don't care if it's snow, it's hot, it's cold. I'm gonna go to Swampscott and I'm gonna yell. So like I am forever grateful for these people. Forever.
And yesterday you all gathered, right? You showed up, Shimmy, when you were there, Heidi, right?
Oh yeah, at the monument.
Yeah.
How was that yesterday in Swampscott? How did like the public react? Like I think a lot of people must know about it now, and you showed up.
They all know. Everybody was beeping. It was really positive. And besides the undercover cops that didn't want to be left out, I guess, that had to sit on the side near the monument. Yeah, it was all positivity. It was all good vibes. It was awesome.
Awesome. And people might notice at times I'm turning off my audio to shut up my dogs. I'm dog sitting for 2 dogs right now, so I'm like double duty right now as always. But they're mostly being good. It's my dog that's actually the trouble one. The guest dog is perfect. You hear him. I don't know if you can hear him, but I can hear him. So Heidi, before we let you go, is there anything you want to kind of leave the audience with about this whole your 50 weeks of supporting Shimmy, the district attorney, anything?
Yeah, I don't want to forget about what Shimmy had to go through, and I don't want to forget about these people. Diana Ploss, who launched the campaign against him, Bubby's Life Matters. We can't forget about Bubby. We can't forget about the Swampscott police. Like, we need to hold these people accountable. I would like it if this woman, Daniel Doherty Werwitz, the DA that was the prosecutor assistant, she got fired. I think she should be fired. She's clearly a racist. And I would like to see Jonathan Blodgett gone too. Yeah, let's not forget what they did to Shimmy. I guess that would be my message. And let's keep protesting them and get rid of them.
So when is the next protest?
We have protests every Thursday, but I'm trying to think of a new plan now of how we can protest these individuals, because they're in Salem, but it's not a high traffic area, so we might just have to go to the courthouse to get at them, because it's just like a parking lot with not many people. I don't think it would make sense to go to their office, so we might have to be going to the courthouses to yell at them some more.
Well, keep us posted. Thank you so much for calling. And
thank you, Heidi.
No problem.
Thanks, Heidi.
And we're going to try to bring up some other folks too. I know we got Michael Picard here. What's up, Michael?
Hey, how are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Listen, Mike, if Mike wasn't there and didn't get the alternate angle video with the open hands, boy, this is a completely different conversation.
Yeah, I was glad that I got that on footage, because like you said, it would be a whole different story if, people had thought you punched her.
Yeah, it really is amazing, Mike, that you got that footage. Although I think it bears emphasis that even with what I would characterize as incontrovertible evidence of the events that occurred in this case, that still wasn't sufficient to allow this black male to be portrayed correctly as the victim and the white female to be portrayed as the defendant until a trial date. And then still the issue is still is a matter of controversy for the court system.
And the media to an extent too. Go ahead. It's all Mary.
It's like that in many places, in many cases. I mean, there's a saying, you can beat the rat, but you can't beat the ride. And, when they have evidence that this person didn't do what was claimed, they like to drag their feet and say, give an excuse like, we don't know how to work the video.
Or it was doctored because the video was slowed down, or we messed with the pixels. I think one time they were trying to say that we might have messed with the pixels to make something appear that really wasn't there. This is the shit that I'm really hearing in a legitimate courtroom where you're supposed to respect authority and everybody's word. Everybody's telling the truth, and I'm listening to this shit in real time, and I'm just like, wow, am I in the Matrix right now? Is this really going on? And it really happened. So again, Mike, I'm forever grateful for you being there, and that video really, like, without that video, I don't know where I'm at right now. Seriously,
I'm always happy to be there for you, and I think people don't realize how messed up the justice system is until they have to go through it.
Absolutely.
Surprised I still have a full head of hair being in that system for so long.
And I think people that don't get it should go sit in court for a couple days and just watch the cases. Just watch what happens. You'll go ahead, Shimmy.
Can I say one thing? So about that, like, I'll never skip jury duty ever again. If I'm ever picked again, I'll never skip for 3 reasons. One, I personally was about to see, but I do understand now the power of a jury when it comes to the decision in somebody's life. Number 2, I didn't know that legally your employer is supposed to give you paid time off to go and do this work. I didn't know that. And I also didn't know that you get compensated for being a juror. This is all shit that they don't tell you when you're coming up. So like you said, Mike, I definitely implore people to go sit in a court, to definitely get involved in the system if you can in any way, because there's a lot of fraudulent shit that is going down, and it's just not fair, and you really won't understand it until you see it firsthand.
Exactly. And jury duty is an important thing, because it isn't always how the government says something went down. It doesn't always go down how the government says it went down. Yeah. And it's up to a jury to hold the government accountable and vote not guilty when either conscience or the law requires it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael Picard. Do you have anything that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I fully think that what the prosecutors in this case were expecting was for Shimmy to take a plea deal. A lot of these cases end in plea deals. I think somewhere around 95 to 97%. Very few go to trial, actually. And I'm just happy that, Shimmy stood up and said enough is enough and, fought this battle.
I don't know the legal, the legal wording for it, but I do know that before my trial started, about 2-3 weeks ago, I was offered a general continuance with anger management. But then just 10 months prior, you were trying to hold me for 3 days for a dangerousness hearing. Like, this is the levels of how shit just de-escalated because this lady knew she didn't have anything. And I definitely wasn't going to take a deal because, like, my lawyer informed me that was, by me taking that deal, that'd be an admission of guilt, and I didn't do shit. Right. So I wasn't taking a deal.
And that too, when you're, I don't know the penalty in Massachusetts for the charges you were facing, but when they offer you something so minimal as like anger management, then you know they're not really confident about their case. When compared to, I'm sure you were facing maybe a year or more in jail.
I believe it was 2, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael.
It was a felony, so it
was
in
a
the district
felony,
court,
right?
it would have been 2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for calling.
Have a good day.
Good. We got a lot of listeners, a lot of people in the green room. I don't know if I knocked you out of the room or you took yourself out of the room, attorney.
If you can look at my screen here, my computer decided to go through a update.
Oh yeah,
podcast.
That's my nightmare.
Yeah.
It sounds like one of you.
Of
I
course.
don't know. I'm getting some background noise. Are you guys hearing that right now, or is it me? It's weird. It's like only when I talk, it just went away. It was Shimmy, actually. I think no, it's not. It's not Shimmy. Shimmy just muted himself. I don't know where it's coming from. We'll figure it out. It's a ghost in the machine. Yeah, it's not you guys because you guys are on mute. It's not. Let's just bring the next person on the show and see what's going on here. Who else we have here? We got a bunch of people in the green room. I'm just going to add somebody.
Mike,
Derek, who's Derek?
Before we go on, I just wanted to add very briefly. One of the things that we were talking about with the the fortuitous nature of us having some level of video evidence, but despite that, we had sort of a prosecutor who was telling us to look the other way from the evidence and sort of thread her narrative through the facts. And that's persisted up to and including the day after court when it was reported by the Lynn item that the Essex DA's office asserted that Greenberg never took the fifth and never intended to take the fifth, which really is striking, just given how clearly that's a fake fact. It was the court took a recess after it was revealed that the complaint had issued against Greenberg, to provide an opportunity for Greenberg and her lawyer and the prosecutor to huddle about whether or not Greenberg would be willing to testify, despite the fact that she would potentially be exposed to prosecution and having her words used against her in that trial. The court took a recess, I think, granted a 10-minute recess, but the recess lasted somewhere closer to an hour, during which that huddle was ongoing. And at the conclusion of the huddle, it was stated in open court through Zoom by Richard Chambers, the attorney for Linda Greenberg, that she would be asserting her Fifth Amendment privilege not to testify. And so to make the statement that, or to affirmatively make the statement that Linda Greenberg intended to testify or never expressed any desire not to testify was completely and utterly false. And the fact that that representation was made and then published in press is shocking and highly disturbing and evidence of it's impossible to call it negligence, and I think it's more accurate to describe it as a malicious spread of disinformation.
Similar to what Donald Trump did. So we have
go ahead, please.
We also had a question here. Why did the counter assault charge?
Yeah, I can answer that question. There's certainly are events and circumstances that occur in court and have occurred in this case that are eyebrow raising, and I think the inference that's being drawn by this question is, was there some level of wrongdoing or monkey business going on in the court in terms of not processing the complaint? But the reality is, as it was explained to me, the clerk's office was experiencing a severe backlog in criminal complaint applications during the COVID crisis, and suspending processing of civil complaints, not to Ernst, but in general, for a lengthy period of time. And I would not have believed it myself had I not actually filed a civilian complaint in another matter arising enough out of Swampscott that didn't get resolved until a week before Shimmy's hearing did. So I don't suspect any level of wrongdoing was associated with that, although one might question the wisdom of refusing to process complaints that are filed, or calling that something that should be sort of like set aside. I don't suspect wrongdoing there, but obviously there's wrongdoing associated with it in so much as we requested that the prosecutor intercede by appointing an independent prosecutor. I think back in April when we learned about this backlog, alerting the prosecutor to the safety concerns we had for Shimmy, which were a matter of public record, including his death threats that were levied against myself and my office as well. And really the importance of avoiding the appearance of impropriety and conflict of interest, which otherwise existed in the case by them not pursuing the charges. As I noted in my letter to District Attorney Blodgett, like most of my correspondence with the prosecutor, Ms. Doherty Warwitz, that message went without a response.
Thank you, Strange Sue, for that question. Do you guys hear that, or is it just me?
Yeah, the echo's coming from you.
I know. Bizarro. Never happened before until today.
I still understand you though, so it's not that bad.
Something's wrong. We're live, Mike Crawford, Young Jerks. We may actually even have to take a break here. I don't know. I'm trying things on the fly to see if it's.
Try disconnecting the room and then come back, maybe.
I'm just gonna try something real quick. My son now. Still doing it. So weird. Mute my speaker. Why the hell is it on speaker? That's a good point. Maybe it's coming out of my speaker.
It sounds better now.
No, it doesn't. How about now? No? You hear me now? Oh, damn it. So weird. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to try something else one more time. How am I now? Still doing it.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Mike. I can hear you, generally fine personally.
Why don't we do this? I'm going to bring up the rest of the people, and they can just talk to you guys.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of remain silent right now.
Sounds good.
Ernie, what's up?
Alex!
Hey, I'm so happy for you. Man, it's such a crazy year, and I've spoken about it, but seeing you come like this activist and speaker and leader in the community and stuff you do, and then this happens.
So I'm so supportive and so happy that everything's working out. You know, we support all of your work in the community.
I thank you. I haven't seen you in a while. You look good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot has changed, but hey, you still got the same good soul, so that's all that matters.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care. Happy holidays.
Tell the kids, everybody, I said hello.
They're running well, and yeah.
All right. I think it's all of us because I heard the echo on my end too.
Oh, hey. Somebody's got to mute themselves. That's all I got to say. I'm looking at you, Mike.
I was muted. It's still going, and I'm back. But I think it's honestly we have too many people on the StreamYard. StreamYard can't handle it.
I think it might be the FBI, but you know.
Could be. Honestly, I think it's the StreamYard. I think that they just can't handle this amount of people in the green room.
Well,
so I'm gonna start kicking you out after people get off. Go ahead, Lauren and Rod.
It stopped.
It stopped. Actually, it's better. I said the magic.
Yeah, I've been kicking people out.
Oh, okay. So, first of all, I really want to congratulate Shimmy. I mean, I kind of knew this was going to happen because you got the best damn lawyer in the world, and also you didn't do anything wrong. So it was like I'm so glad you didn't take a plea. That's all I got to say. Just from the bottom of my heart, you know, but the thing I actually wanted to talk about was when they tried to hold you.
Mm-hmm.
What they used to do that was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were visited, right?
Yes.
By agents?
2 times.
What were their names?
I don't remember one of them, but the other one, I'll never forget him. His name was Officer Creed.
Andy Creed.
Yeah.
So it all comes full circle. And did he show up to your workplace?
He did. In November. Before I got arrested in Swampscott. But
what was that like?
I was scared shitless because I never had police, let alone an FBI agent, quote unquote, come visit me. So that shit was weird. But the reason why he came and saw me was because of something that I allegedly did at a Diana Plus rally a month prior to that.
Where his only main witness was Diana Plus herself.
Yes.
Attorney Murat, hello. Good to see you. I just wanted to emphasize what the Boston Regional Intelligence Center is doing to leftist activists and who is responsible for this sort of over prosecution of people like Shimmy and what actually is going on in it's happening again in this sort of surveillance system where people are being threatened. I'm so glad you're out of it. I hope you get a better job than you had last time.
Oh,
I'm gonna get a better job for sure.
Yeah, you weren't loyal.
It's Murat. Murat muted himself.
It's Murat.
Yeah,
it's Murat.
You need headphones, bud.
You got 2 computers going.
Earbuds.
So Ron and Lauren, anything last you want to say before we cut you loose?
I wanna know what Murat thinks about that.
He's got an echo going on. We'll try him.
Murat, mute the computer then when you talk.
If you let me in from my other computer, now that my update is done.
I got you. That's okay.
Oh my, we've got 2 Murats. We've got 2 Murats.
Wow.
Is this art?
Yeah, it's an art piece now.
Okay. Hopefully that's going to be. Is that better? Did that solve the problem?
That's much better.
I think I might have been the source of the issue here. We can all blame, Windows 10 or whatever it is that I have here. First of all, my favorite power couple. How are you?
We're hanging in there.
I am so happy to see you guys as always.
Indeed. You as well.
And so Lauren, you raised a couple of issues. First was, I think, the motion to detain him in the beginning of the case. And second was the issue of, law enforcement elements that are inserting themselves into these otherwise peaceful protests, and how that might have an effect on our ability to speak and dissent. The first issue regarding the effort to detain Shimmy. So for those of you that don't know, when we showed up for the arraignment, I walked into that courtroom that day expecting that the prosecutor was going to dismiss the charges against Shimmy, just based on the evidence that I had gathered overnight, and understanding what the truth of the case was, which was that Shimmy was the victim and that Greenberg was the aggressor. And maybe that's just a sign of my unwarranted faith in the system, or my own being an optimist or naive. But certainly that didn't happen, as we all know. And instead, the prosecutor filed a motion which is reserved really for the most dangerous individuals, or at least the law was envisioned that way, to have Shimmy labeled a danger to the community and potentially held without bail at all until his trial in the case. And I will say this, the data suggests that Essex County is the county where this was prosecuted, including Lynn, is severely uncalibrated with the other prosecutors' offices regarding filing requests of this nature. Certainly to call Shimmy, who is by any metric probably one of the most peaceful and positive contributing members of our community, labeled a danger on this flimsy and really, quite frankly, demonstrably false allegation. Factoring in also the fact that he has no prior record at all. To label him a danger was to say it was frivolous, I think might be an understatement. But that's what the prosecutor did. I think it's actually also notable that when we came in for this hearing, I requested that the court consider the testimony of two eyewitnesses, Mary Farrell and Nate Lampkin, the latter who was an eyewitness to the police conduct in the case. And the prosecutor responded by threatening that if I presented any live witnesses in court, or requested to present live witnesses in court, that she would file a continuance on the case, to which she would be statutorily entitled, and have Shimmy detained during the continuance period. So essentially maneuvered in such a way as to silence witnesses to the event, and to prevent their voices from being heard on the question of the merits of her petition. Another, what I would characterize as disturbing, maneuver by the prosecutor in this case. Thankfully, we were dealing with a judge that was, I think, in control of his courtroom and courageous enough to make the correct decisions in this case, as quite frankly he did every step of the way. Decisions based really on the law and the facts, and wholesale and really abruptly rejected what the Commonwealth was doing in the case. But it was certainly scary for Shimmy, and certainly a grave personal and professional disappointment for me that the prosecutor would take that tactic. It happened to Shimmy. Shimmy had adequate legal representation, and so we could avoid that happening. Certainly, it's something that I don't know that everybody would be as well prepared to handle as we were. And so I think a lot of people in Shimmy's situation might be subjected to that kind of a threat. On the issue of the presence of law enforcement at these rallies, and particularly the presence of law enforcement that is at least ostensibly tasked with preventing acts of terrorism, it really is a sign of the times, and something that is in a lot of ways difficult to stomach and to fathom. But it's there. It's very much there.
Can you explain what you mean by that to those unfamiliar with the JTTF, and what you mean by those there given the task of checking on terrorism?
Sure. So I mean, the government loves to create task forces and attribute acronyms for them. In this case, this is the JTTF, Joint Terrorism Task Force. And really, I think that their job is to protect us from acts of domestic terrorism and that's sort of like militant actions and or whatever other sort of scary terroristy stuff that may occur in the world. I don't know that anybody could credibly describe their mandate as crowd control at a peaceful protest, particularly where their actions are directed at what I think we could probably agree with any reasoned person. Targeting the side of the rally that is there, standing for peace, standing for understanding and harmony. But the JTTF and it's my understanding that this TFO agent Creed and some of his colleagues have been frequenting these rallies, and I think that there is credible evidence that there's some level of misreporting going on in what it is that they're claiming. I have personal experience with at least 2 incidents. I'm sure
of them specifically, or just the FBI?
Specifically them. Specifically them.
Because it's funny, the FBI has a history of it. If you look at Whitey Bulger.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in my view, everybody's entitled to a clean slate, and should be judged on their own personal merits. But what I can see here is that these particular agents have engaged in conduct which I think some people might view as questionable. For instance, with respect to Shimmy's case, the incident that was reported by Creed, which if I recall correctly, involved an allegation that Shimmy assaulted somebody in a black SUV during a rally, maybe in Boston. We conducted our own investigation regarding that when the Commonwealth, the prosecutor, Ms. Doherty Warwitz, attempted to present that as some sort of evidence of his bad character, or in reality, that would be that was probably the thrust of it. But the way that she presented it was evidence of his sort of like combative, state of mind. The evidence that we developed, I think largely disproved the allegation. We were able to locate some video footage which showed Shimmy interacting with an individual in a black SUV. And the interaction was nothing the way that it, in the manner in which it was described in the police report. The video footage I saw showed Shimmy himself being assaulted by this individual.
Wait, so Creed was lying?
And responding peacefully to the incident. I don't know if there's some
surprised, Rob,
or some other aspect of this event that I'm not aware of that he was referring to, but in terms of the available record of what happened in that event, it had no bearing or resemblance to what it is that Creed was alleging. And I'm also representing Rod and Lauren in connection with what might be viewed by some, certainly by me, as an investigation which has, if not in purpose, certainly in effect, chilled the free expression of individuals who have important messages to talk about. And Agent Creed is at the eye of that particular storm as well. He first attempted to bring that matter to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston, and after I was able to communicate some additional facts regarding, what was going on there, and really, I think the terrible toll this type of an inquest can take on, our cherished values of freedom of expression and speech and assembly and things of that nature. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston discontinued their investigation for whatever reason. Following that, Agent Creed apparently pitched the matter to a U.S. attorney in the state of Maine that apparently is, convening grand juries and investigating allegations which were served on a platter to him by Agent Creed, which has, in my view, devastating consequences for important freedoms that we should be watching very closely here. Anytime we have the government acting in such a way as to target those who wish to peacefully express themselves, inspire fear in them, and to silence them, we must be watching very carefully.
And if I could jump in there, I'd like to say that Officer Creed or Detective Creed, whichever he prefers to say, has had a long history cooperating or collaborating with New England White Pride. He has, on occasions, demanded that I stop filming the straight pride events. We have that on video. That's a no-brainer. He has harassed members of our film crew for being trans individuals. And quite honestly, there is a litany of evidence showing his bad faith inquisition, which quite honestly, grand juries are tantamount to a modern Spanish Inquisition. You don't have the ability as there is no defense. Only the prosecutor can put something forward. It is a secret inquiry, and the overseer is not held accountable. And they can coerce witnesses into lying by giving them immunity deals. So I would say that I have less faith in the system than Murat or Shimmy. But I mean, God bless Shimmy for still having that there. But what I've seen over and over and over again is their willingness to bend the laws to their will. They come up with what the conclusion is going to be, and they pick this and that and cherry pick it and get the outcome that they're looking for. And I see that Detective Creed is conducting a bad faith investigation. I just want to point out that I've put forward a lawsuit against Donald Trump back in the day, 2015. It concluded in 2020. I litigated that myself, and I beat his ass in court. I also beat an FBI agent that was working for him. And then I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying that should any form of prosecutorial misconduct transpire, hey, I know some things. I know how to do things. We have the resources, the will, and the truth behind us, to press forward against these bad faith actors who are putting this forward. These are the same people who are going after Shimmy. That's why it's important.
And I want to add that I am so glad that, Shimmy, you are out of the fire. But there is a file on you now in the Boston Regional Intelligence Center. You will never be out of you will always be searched by these agents. This is how this works, and I'm not trying to scare you, and I don't think you should change a damn thing you're doing. But what I'm saying is you've made it to the big times, and it's clear because of the DOJ, the BRIC reports on you, that everybody involved in the Black Lives Matter movement, everybody involved on the left in general, is basically they're just having their own little gossip column about us, right? It's just a bunch of gossip column things they report to each other. Oh, somebody filed a report on you. Oh, wait, it was you who filed a report. That wasn't even true, right? And so they just collect these binders of gossip about people with no real evidence. And this is a huge waste of money because you're like a peaceful and a person who all I've seen is collecting mutual aid donations, feeding people, helping people. And you need to keep doing that. Because at some point, you will be, and not just with this Linda Greenberg person, but against the greater system in general, because of what happened and the fact that BRIC was making reports on you, you as a good person will be vindicated for what you do. And you will show how stupid they are. So do not stop doing what you're doing. And I'm so glad that you're out of the fire right now.
Thank you. And I shall appreciate it.
Agreed.
Thank you, Rod and Lauren.
Yeah.
Let someone else talk.
Yeah.
We had enough.
They got that perfect. We got Derek. Derek, who's been waiting for a while. What's up, Derek? Do we got you off mute yet? Yes, we do. I can't hear Derek though. He's off mute and we got no sound. Can you guys hear him now?
No.
Derek, are you there? Yeah, I think there's something wrong with your audio, Derek. Unfortunately, you are off mute. That's okay. We'll try to maybe we'll get back to you. We'll see if we can get back to you. All right, we're the Young Jerks. My name is Mike Crawford. I want to thank everyone for listening. All the folks who have been in the chat. We got quite a few messages here. We got another good question. Someone asked if there, because Linda Greenberg's side is saying that Shimmy could be charged again. They want to see you get charged. Is there any chance of that, attorney?
Yeah. So the procedural mechanism that was invoked here is called the null prosequi from the Latin, which is to decline to prosecute. It's something that they can file in a case, and then it's something they can then unfile in the case. For instance, as a good example, if I was, for example, prosecuting a rape case, and the alleged victim was unwilling to talk or couldn't be located or something along those lines, I would null pros the case, and then if the circumstances changed in the future, I would file the case again. It is something that does occur. It occurs very rarely, and I would be highly doubtful if the Commonwealth would refile this particular complaint. If they do, they have to be ready for just an absolute world of hurt, because the evidence that I have is overwhelming. They saw what happened to the one witness they were allowed to call in this case, Richard Alex from the Swampscott Police Department, who invented a statement and attempted to attribute it to Shimmy, a purported confession. If anybody was there during the hearing, they could see. They probably witnessed with their own eyes the way through my cross-examination that particular witness imploded on the witness stand, contradicted himself in a manner which I think could best be described as perjury. That's the tip of the iceberg for the prosecution's case. This case goes to trial, they're going to regret it, as far as I'm concerned. And quite frankly, given all of the developments here, I think that I'm confident that John Blodgett
Sounds like a really bad idea for them to try that.
A very bad idea.
Yeah, Michael Picard it's funny because we got a bunch of comments from people looking for Picard. They're like, did we miss him? And no, Picard's in our comment section right now. He says, lock Rod out, not Lauren, though. She's cool. I thought that was funny. I saw Rod in the green room laughing at that, actually. I thought it was funny. And then Picard's always funny. And then, of course, his fanboys are in here. Did we miss Picard? Yeah, you missed Picard. You can listen to it on the replay. He was here. He's gone now. You missed him. I think he might. Look, there's more people coming in. It's funny. We're the Young Jerks. My name is Mike Crawford. I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. I want to thank our guests, especially the awesome Shimmy Ernst Jean-Jacques. Almost got it.
That was close enough. That was close enough.
And attorney Murat Erkan.
Excellent.
Close. Getting better. Trying. You got to work on it.
I liked it. Thanks for having us and spending the time talking about this important issue, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I really appreciate your time too on a Friday night, both of you. Joining us and taking all the comments and the calls. I know it's getting late.
Mike,
I want to. Oh, Shimmy?
I'm sorry, but just before we wrap up, is there any way we can give a chance for Deani and Derek, because those are two individuals that have also been really.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see Deani. We'll try Derek again. Let's try Deani right now. Oh yeah, I definitely would like to get everyone on. Thank you, Shimmy. So we have, I think, Deani on now.
Oh, hey everybody! Thank you. Wow. This whole year seems like it's been going very long and very short at the same time. It's hard to explain everything that has transpired since December 12th.
So I just want everyone to know that on December 12th, myself and Heidi, we were in Washington, D.C. A few weeks before the insurrection happened. And there was a lot of things going on in our country that still were our politicians and prosecutors all across the country trying to figure out, who was trying to do a possible coup, right? So on December 12th, on that day, I found out that this happened with Shimmy. Okay, and I was with Heidi down in DC. Come back, we decided, hey, we're going to stand up for a comrade. And this is for everyone that is here. I want you guys to know, and Shimmy said that, it's been 50 weeks. Heidi has been here for basically 50 weeks. I want to say for me, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to get the N-word, like, not N-word, but like middle fingers, sometimes. So maybe she might have been here for 50 weeks straight. I might have been here for about maybe 35 weeks. I want you all to understand that when all this happened, there were people that stood out. A lot of people stood out. And then everything dwindled down after the week. I mean, we're talking sleet, we're talking snow, just cold ass New England stuff. Okay. The summer months happened with all this, and I hear a blowback. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I think, I think it might be mine now. My girlfriend just walked in the house. She's listening to the show. I can hear her phone. Go ahead.
Okay.
I think she just went upstairs. Go.
All right. So I want you all to understand. All right. You guys need to know. The last year, and the reason why I decided to go out for Shimmy's case was the fact that I knew that they were lying, and they had the state falsified police reports. I mean, even being on Tuesday, and the officer was like, I don't remember, and all that. And I just remember, I want everyone that's here right now to understand that there were times when we would hang out on the monument and be in Swampscott, and the police would come and try to intimidate us. Okay? It wasn't like, it went, some days were different, We would be out maybe twice a week if it were not there, or at the Lynn Courthouse, which was more recent than now. When we decided to make signs and flyers and let people know what's going on with Shimmy's case, and I remember, and I'm not sure if you all know this, that there were signs that we created and put them on the monument in Swampscott, which is a few doors away from our governor, okay? And the police, Swampscott police, decided to call their DEP to take the signs up. And then we would have to run and figure out where the signs were. They took them up, and then come to find out, some of the same players who took the signs up were the people that were in charge of that day. So I need you all to understand that, and what happened this year with Shimmy, and it's the intimidation was kind of in our face, and still going out and standing out and being frustrated. And I'm just gonna say to Heidi, God, out here, because some days I'm like, do I want to be told, F Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, and I don't know, some QAnon stuff. I mean, this was a lot. This year was a lot. Okay. And I need everyone to understand this. I know we're talking about what happened and all that, but I want to say this. It was in our face. And it was in our face too, that what happened until what happened on Tuesday when the judge was like, are you freaking kidding me? It's doctored information. I mean, you know, after that's why it's so important to, you know, it can't be, this is not finished because it might have been a year, but damn it, yo, they were out here and whoa. So I hope all of you understand what I am saying. God, you know what? If Heidi, if you're still here right now, I want you to let everyone know that you got a citation from the state police a few weeks ago because we were carrying Black Lives Matter flags and we were, you know, countering people that are not about Shimmy. Okay. And I need all of you to know that. Okay. This is not, this year has been, you know, I broke down crying. I want people to know this was like a couple months ago. And then people looking at me and we're out in front of the courthouse. And then I don't even know if it was cold that day, but I started crying because I was like, yo, fuck everybody. Okay. And yeah, I broke down crying because I know after January 6th, I want everybody to know this, okay? We were out. So Heidi and I, we were in DC on December 12th. A lot of stuff went down, okay, in DC a few weeks before the insurrection. And we were telling people what was going on. And to know this happened to Shimmy and then January 6th happened and we were all standing out just trying to figure out what is happening. So everything with the DA, DA Blodgett, however you say his name, I don't care. It's a little weird at the fact that all this just kind of comes together. And when it comes to this case, it is much deeper than like, oh my God, no. This is a big deal. All right. And I need all of you to understand that we need you all out, even going forward, and to make sure that who is involved in who's a prosecutor, because we saw what happened with the prosecutors in Georgia. All right. We saw it. It doesn't matter if it's in Georgia. The shit's happening here in the North Shore. Too. Okay. Oh, sorry. I have to get that out. So I'm seeing some of you people here. I want to see more of you because God damn it, I'm going to tell you right now. Shimmy, damn, I don't even know if I could be so affected by what happened to you. I cannot even imagine what the fuck you're going through. Because they're out here. And you know what, Heidi? I see you right now. And Heidi, I want you to let everyone know that citation you got that you paid for, right?
Let's hear from Heidi.
Tell people. Thank you.
Yeah.
Heidi, go ahead.
I'm fighting that citation. We were counter protesting Linda Greenberg's group. You know, members of the group. Linda Greenberg wasn't there that day. Annalisa and her little crew. It's the same group. And the state police came. They were called by her viewers. They came and they detained me and they detained Michael Picard, who was with me. And they made us stay there till we proved who we were. And they gave us citations for using megaphones on DCR property. I have no idea what DCR property is. But yet, two of the Trumpers were using megaphones too, and they did not get a citation. And then the officer said, "You're not allowed to protest on DCR property." But then they went on to stand with Annalisa and the Trumpies for another hour while they continued their rally. So
Double,
yeah,
yeah,
so it just
double standard.
double standard, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, of course I'm gonna fight that. It's just ridiculous, but they definitely treat
Picking
one
sides.
way. Yeah, they are picking sides.
We also have Derek here. I know we're gonna try to. Derek, we can hear you now. What's up?
Oh, you can?
Yes.
Hello. So I'm Derek. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota now. I was from DC, and how I met known Shimmy on social media was from Heidi and my other friend Diani, because we were all part of Refuse Fascism, and Heidi and Diani are they rock. They travel down to DC to support me so many times during last year, during the Proud Boys attacks, everything. And I wish I was down in Massachusetts, in Boston, supporting Shimmy, but but the cost and stuff ran out for me. But I support and solidarity with Shimmy, because white people out here need to support the Black community and stand up for racial justice and stand up for what's going on in the world, because Black people should be able to walk down the streets without getting teased, getting all hate for no reason, because they are the same people as us, and they should be treated the same way as white people, as anyone. So I just wanted to say I'm grateful that you are safe, Shimmy, and just stay safe and do what you do, because you rock. Thank you.
Derek, thank you for all the support from Boston all the way to Minnesota and back. You're
Yes.
appreciated, Derek.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for calling in too, Derek. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, we're the Young Jerks. I think we got everybody. Did we get everybody in? I think we did.
I think we did.
We had a couple other people call in too that we actually missed, but nobody in the room right now hasn't been on. So I think we tried. I mean, we really took a lot of calls tonight.
I don't imagine that this will be the last time that we're talking about this based off the track record.
Right. Seems like quite a few people are listening to tonight. So I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank our guest, Ernst, again. I want to thank the attorney, Murat Erkan. And I want to thank all of our listeners and people commenting tonight and all the callers. We're the Young Jerks. One of the things I want to leave with is my interaction with Jonathan Blodgett, the DA, district attorney, his lies. And it was back in, I think it was 2007. I was on Channel 2, WGBH, and John Blodgett was on there. And John lied. And he basically said that I didn't exist. And I told my story, and the host basically, you can tell, you can watch we're going to play the whole video, actually. It's not the best video, number one, because it's not, I recorded it off my computer, basically. It was back in the day when you couldn't even rip things. So I put a camcorder up to my little, and you'll see. But you'll get the gist of it. And I'm the guy in the video. You'll hear the voice. James White. I wasn't using my real name back then, and you'll see why. But he wanted to act like I didn't exist, like nothing ever bad happens, and it was a bunch of lies. And I'm going to end on that tonight. But before we do that, I want to get to the guests, give them an opportunity to wrap it up tonight, because this has been a long show. A lot of stuff has happened this week, especially with Shimmy. Charges dismissed. Really happy about that. I'm wondering how they want to wrap this up with the audience tonight. If there's any next steps, we talked about some of it. I'm wondering if there might even be any lawsuits. Anything that they suggest for the audience to do or check out, or any words of encouragement they want to leave us with tonight. Who wants to start, Shimmy or the attorney?
Shimmy, I'll defer to you.
Basically, all I want to do is just continue to just express how grateful I am to everybody. I'm actually in the progress of going to watch a cat. That's why I'm moving. But I want to thank everybody for showing me support. I want to thank Murat. I want to thank Heidi. I want to thank everybody that went to a standout, everybody that sent an email in my regards, made a phone call, made a post, made a tweet, just spoke about, made a donation. Literally anybody that helped out my cause in any way, I'm forever grateful. And I just want to continue to just do this work and hopefully one day make it an ideal world that everybody wants to live in.
God, well, yeah, definitely. And I love that you're going to help a cat out right now on a Friday night. It's like me. I'm like, I gotta wrap this show up because I got 2 dogs. My dog's he's been good mostly. He's ready to go though. He knows his mom is home now. But Shimmy, I just loved. Thank you for doing this interview tonight, and I'm sure the attorney has something to leave us with tonight as well.
Of course, I hope so. He's the best.
It's gonna be hard to follow Shimmy.
Yeah, it's very hard to follow.
But you got the goat though.
Yeah. You know, I guess I want to emphasize that when we stand for something, as this, you know, the people that are here sharing the sentiments that we talked about here tonight do, it's not easy to do. It's a hard thing, and the easier thing is to be quiet and to hope that somebody else is going to say what it is that we're feeling, and somebody else is going to stand for what it is that we wish we had the courage to stand for. The only way that we can ever make progress is if we have the courage to stand and talk, and to point our finger at and expose and shine a light upon hate and injustice and unfairness. Shimmy is the perfect example of this. Shimmy went out. He didn't have to. He could have done anything else on this particular day on December 12th of the year 2020. But he went out there to stand for what he believed in. And because he stood for what he believed in, because he was there to express himself, he found himself to become not only the victim of hate, but then the victim of a system that was not equipped to handle this case in the just manner which it cried out for. It took strength for Shimmy to do what it is that he did. As I think Mike Picard pointed out at some point in this podcast, the vast majority of people lack the strength to fight when they're in a situation like this. The guilty plea rate in criminal court is somewhere north of 90% and maybe even closer to 98%. Shimmy and a person like Shimmy would rightly feel the pressure to cut a deal or remain or find some way out of it where they can guarantee that they're not going to be placed in harm's way. Shimmy chose not to. Shimmy chose to fight, and only because Shimmy chose to fight were we able to achieve the measure of justice that we've achieved in this case. Although we're not there yet, we are well on the way to getting to what we need to accomplish. And it is so important that we all find the courage in and of ourselves to say, I won't let somebody else stand in my shoes. I will be the one that's going to be talking. And I thank all of you for your efforts in doing that.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Again, attorney Murat Erkan.
Erkan.
See, I thought I got it right the first time, and then I changed it. Murat Erkan.
No, you said Erkan, excuse me. And
I say Erkan earlier.
When you win the lottery, Mike, and I'm assuming that karma will get you there, I want you to buy tickets to Turkey and learn how to pronounce my name better, okay?
To Turkey.
Yes.
I would love to go to Turkey. I'd love to stop walking dogs for a living.
Yeah.
I'd love to be a millionaire. I thank you so much for coming on tonight, attorney.
Thank you for having me about everything that you're doing.
And I'm sure we'll talk again. There's other cases, and again, if you have any other cases that you want to bring attention to, definitely hit me up anytime.
We will be talking soon then, Mike.
I'm sure. All right. Well, thank you so much. And again, I want to end tonight. I want to show when I was on WGBH, and it was DA Jonathan Blodgett acting like I didn't exist.
In just 6 weeks, voters across the nation will pick a new president. But here in Massachusetts, we've got a few other things to decide. And one is whether to take the punch out of possession of marijuana. Every year, this 36-year-old Cambridge resident is reminded of a big mistake.
Which, was speeding in my car and having about a joint's worth of pot in my car. I think the bigger crime was speeding, but the pot is on my record for life.
James White, not his real name, was arrested on his birthday 5 years ago. He says the pot bust continues to haunt him because he's now listed in the state's criminal offender registry.
The court has definitely stopped me from getting jobs. I'm not hireable because I got arrested one time for marijuana and one joint.
White now runs his own business, but his situation is a familiar one to attorney Tom Kiley.
I don't want to see it happen to another young person in the Commonwealth.
A former assistant attorney general, Kiley is the author of Ballot Question, a statewide referendum that tosses out criminal penalties for the possession of an ounce or less of pot. Instead, adult offenders would pay a $100 fine. Juvenile offenders would face community service, and their parents could be fined up to $1,000. But Kiley is quick to add the initiative would not decriminalize marijuana.
We leave all of the other laws relating to drug use, operating under the influence, etc., in place.
As for James White, he hopes Question 2 passes, so others won't have to go through what he did.
I went to school, put myself through college. I did everything right. And the one mistake I made, I'm penalized for life.
That may not be the case going forward. In a recent poll, over 70% of Massachusetts voters favored civil penalties for using marijuana. All right, and with me now is Whitney Taylor of the Committee for Sensible Marijuana Policy and Essex County District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, one of the things that the DAs have said is that they really believe that this would, spark a crime wave and open up the floodgates for use. Why do you think so? How so?
Well, our position, Emily, is it's a major step backwards. For the first time in recent memory, marijuana use among teenagers is down. Why would you want to reverse that trend? Law enforcement, educators, healthcare providers have done a job, well done job, I would suggest to you, making young people understand how harmful this is, not only to them, but to their families and their surrounding community.
Why is it harmful?
Increased healthcare costs, addiction. I mean, it's not your father's Oldsmobile. Marijuana today is more addictive than ever before. Experts like Joseph Califano from CASA, the Center for Addictive Substance Abuse at Columbia University, just published in June of this year a 15-year study, a 15-year study that talks about the dangerous and addictive behaviors that come with marijuana use, what it does to young people, what it does to communities, but more importantly, the greatest voice is the voice of the 10-point ministry. Black ministers in Boston have been unified in their opposition and stating what they've seen and what has happened to young people.
Well, listen, that you struck a nerve here, because Whitney, one of the issues that comes up, and the Reverend Dickinson mentioned to us too, is this is really a class issue. That, if you ease up on the laws, you're really appealing to, the white middle class, and, what's the big deal, an ounce, nickel bag, whatever it is, you spoke a few joints, but that's not really what's going on in a lot of areas of the black community, and one thing might more likely lead to something bigger there than it would in some other communities.
Well, first of all, Emily, what we need to look at is the fact that 11 other states have passed similar laws, and none of the issues being brought up by Mr. Blodgett have come to fruition. Actually, the National Research Council has did a report that was commissioned by the White House, so not an organization that really is promoting of reforming any of our laws, that shows that passing laws like Question 2 have no effect on use rates whatsoever. And what you need to look at the folks that are supporting Question 2, groups like the Union of Minority Neighborhoods and the Boston Workers Alliance, because the fact is, upon arrest, a CORI is generated, and all of the barriers to jobs, to
what about
housing.
CORI reform instead? I mean, it seems like that is the onerous issue here, that a guy like James White should have a record for life for having a couple of joints in his car.
Even under CORI reform, the CORI's still going to be there. quarries aren't going away. We're not getting rid of them. So
some people can get these things erased. I don't know how he can't and other people can, but
what we are speaking to is the fact of creating boundaries, especially for young people, and talking about disenfranchised communities. I mean, it is the disenfranchised communities that need that first job that will probably do a quarry check, and not middle class or wealthier white folks. It is the disenfranchised communities that will need that school loan that they will not be able to get because of this record.
That seems to be the sticking point here, is that record, that permanent record is preventing people from getting the jobs, from going to school, from, it seems so onerous.
Well, I challenge that, Emily, quite frankly. I mean, I have one house of correction in my county, Middleton. There isn't one person today incarcerated for possession of marijuana.
No, but it's still on their records, is what.
Yeah, we're not talking about incarceration.
If you're an adult, the matter is continued out of finding for 6 months. The matter is dismissed upon completion of the 6 months probation. Many, many people get jobs. I suggest to you that really is an onerous argument, in the sense that if the real issue is Corey, and you have to understand, the playing field keeps shifting. First, the arguments on behalf of the proponents was too many people in jail for marijuana arrests. People in jail for marijuana arrests have multiple counts on their arrests. Absolutely.
What about the argument Whitney makes about the 11 other states who have enacted or changed these laws, and it hasn't had that much of an impact?
Well, again, I mean, where's the real data in that regard? Many states have rejected the same type of proposal. Nevada, Colorado have said no to decriminalizing this. And who does this benefit?
Why doesn't the state could regulate it, as they do alcohol?
But what we are talking about is, first and foremost, this campaign, the Question 2 campaign, has never stated that people were going to jail for this. As a matter of fact, one of the issues that we are talking about is also the great cost savings. And that report done by Jeff Myron, Harvard economist, looks at arrest and booking costs alone. And in arrest and booking costs alone, we're spending $29.5 million a year.
In this state?
In this state alone. We are not talking about jail costs. And actually, his report was looked at by over 500 national economists. They agreed with his model, and actually think his model is conservative, because it doesn't go into, then probation costs and all of those issues. But what we are talking about is $29.5 million a year.
But that isn't really what you care about. You don't care about the money.
I'm promoting that it stays in the community to fight violent and serious crime. I live in Boston. And what I want is my police officers in my street where I live focusing on violent.
That's not going to. James White was stopped for speeding, and they found that money would have been a wash. I mean, probably it's not.
Well, no, it's because if once you're arrested for marijuana, stopped for speeding, you're handed a ticket and left on your way. For being arrested for marijuana, you are put in a car. That cop is taken off the street. And you are brought into the station, you're fingerprinted, you're booked, you then have to have preliminary court costs. That's a lot more than being let go.
Oh, absolutely. Those figures are total nonsense. This paid economist has no criminal justice background. Let me give you the reality. The reality is this: simple possession of marijuana is a misdemeanor. And unless you're smoking marijuana in front of a police officer, or your smoking is involved in some sort of a public affray, or the commission of a felony, you're not arrested. You are summoned to court. A misdemeanor in front of a police officer is not arrestable.
We'll decide this November 4th.
Thank you, Emily.
Jonathan Blodgett, Wendy Taylor, thanks. All right.
Oh, I just wanted to, I guess, wrap it up there. Usually I just let it go, but Jonathan Blodgett, you can see him lying. You can see that Emily Rooney was all caught up in me, in my story. And, everything that was said against Jonathan Blodgett was true. Everything he said was false. People did lose jobs over a cannabis arrest. So, again, he's been lying for a long time. I think he needs to, a wake-up call. I think people protest. I definitely support protests of him after all I've seen over the years. So I just wanted to bring that to people's attention as well, because it's not recent. This has been going on for decades. Doesn't represent the people. He was against every cannabis law that we passed, and look how popular they were. He doesn't care about the people. So again, I want to thank all our guests tonight, all our listeners. We'll be back very soon, Young Jerks. I want to thank the attorney who's still kicking around. I know he's had a late night. We'll let him go. Good night, everyone.
Bye.